Hi, this is Dr. Noel Lloyd for Five Star Management, and we're doing a special case study with a wonderful woman I've had the pleasure to know for a number of years. And Dr. Kleinfelter, tell the people who you are and where you practice, please.
Okay, I'm Dr. Kyrie Kleinfelter. I practice in St. Charles, Illinois.
And you and I have been coach and client for how long?
Going on 16 years.
16 years. And so I've written some things down, and this is why I think people should meet you. We're talking about from practice startup through 5 maternity leaves to a waiting list practice of up to how many weeks? How long has your waiting list been?
It was up to 12 weeks at least at one point.
And I know that that was a heartache for you because you weren't able to see the people, everybody who wanted to see you. And then also now you get 12 weeks off a year to be a mom, a wife, and then also a great chiropractor. I think that that's a story worth telling. So let's go back to the very, very start. I had an opportunity to meet you actually before you set up your practice. Am I correct?
Yes, that's true.
Okay. And what was the challenge back then, and how did I help at that point?
Okay, so I knew what type of practice that I wanted to have, and I also knew that I needed help to do it right without making a lot of mistakes. Being near Chicago, visited a lot of practice management, seminars, and I was looking for someone who could help me start the practice that I wanted to have. And to make it simple, the main criteria would be the 100% NUFA practice, a straight chiropractic practice. I wasn't going to sell anything or do therapies, and a cash practice. And everybody that I met said, there's no way you can do that. So I knew about you through my uncle who coaches with you or coached with you.
Right.
And was impressed with his practice and got to meet you. And, you said that you could help me achieve what I wanted to in practice.
In fact, I even remember that initial contact, and you were very, very specific about what you wanted, and I was intrigued, and I thought, hey, let's do it. I can help with that. So now you're scratch building a cash practice with an upper cervical technique, and not all people who think they know what chiropractic is about understand upper cervical. So there were some challenges. How did Five Star Management help you meet those challenges? And what did we do, and what are the skills that you acquired as a result of that?
Yeah. Just the how to do everything at first. How do you answer the phone? Where are you going to find people who want to come and see you? What do you do when they come in the door? What are the systems that need to be in place, and what's the record keeping that needs to be in place in order to run a practice smoothly? So I appreciated not having to invent everything myself to be able to have solid foundation, to work with there. And then also really, you have so much experience in starting practices and negotiating leases. And so it was a tremendous, value to be able to just talk with you as I negotiated the lease with the, place that I wanted to rent from, and also to have your advice on starting in a small space, starting cheap, moving up as I could, but just keeping it simple at first, and, making sure that I would be successful.
Well, I love the low overhead, and I remember you were in just this tiny little office, but that was so delicious because you could pack out that office, which you eventually did, and you outgrew your space. Let's talk about what you did, because nobody knew you in your community. How did you generate new patients, and How did we help you meet that challenge?
So at least a month before I planned to open the doors, you had me have Kathy out who would help me to learn how to set up events where I could get in front of people, meet them, and tell them about chiropractic and bring them into my practice. So, I learned how from Kathy, and you told me make a list. She told me, I don't remember exactly what it was, have 20 places that you want to approach with me, and let me show you how to do this. We're going to go around and we're going to do this together. And you said have a list, try to just kill her that day,
Yeah,
just
right.
have so much. And so that's what we did. And what I found out from going around with Kathy, who was experienced and had done this a million times, was that it wasn't difficult. People, didn't toss you out. Honestly, most of the time we heard, I'm not the person who could make that decision.
Right.
And then she taught me how to make sure I could get, so who is? I don't want you to have to go to them. I don't want it to be a bother for you. So just get that contact and follow up with that contact. So, hardly anybody flat out said no. Nobody, got mad or made me sad. And, we got a few yeses and events on the calendar that day too. And then in the follow-ups, I had myself booked for the next month so that I could concentrate on taking care of patients and continuing to make those efforts to get in front of people, to meet them, to bring them into the practice, to get going. So I got a really solid start by packing my events full for, at least a month, and then continuing to work on booking events a month out instead of, hey, what am I going to do this week?
So, booked out a month from the very, very start. Do you know how long it took you to go from opening your doors to making more money than you were spending? I mean, how long did it take you to get into profit?
I paid my bills the first month.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's great. And that's one of the benefits of going in inexpensively. Nobody picks a doctor because she has super expensive chairs or costly carpet. Now, so let's talk about that outreach process. A waiting list practice is not one where you personally are doing the marketing. But that didn't happen overnight, did it?
Took about 3 years before it was an all referral practice. But, I taught people about chiropractic when they came in the door.
Right.
So I really turned those people who came in from our external, our outreach, into referring patients and lifetime patients. So it just filled up my practice. And within 3 years, I wasn't able to do the outreach myself anymore. But I still felt an obligation to reach out and let people know about how tremendous chiropractic is.
Right, right. So the practice is launched. Took 3 years to get to the point where you were a referral-only practice. And I think that, everybody would like that. People who are referrals come ready to pay and already believing, and they've heard wonderful stories about you and chiropractic. Now, when was your first maternity leave? About that time?
It was about that time.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. About 3 years into practice.
And
we decided it was time to have a face.
And you decided and kept deciding and kept deciding, which has been so much. It's been so much fun for me, and I'm really, really grateful for Facebook because I get to see your beautiful 3 boys and 2 girls. And you have a wonderful husband who helps facilitate that whole process. Probably couldn't do it without Mark, could you?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
But let's talk about what a maternity. How did we help you with the challenge of maternity leaves and stepping away from the practice and still having the practice do? And I'll kind of this is. You had record year after year after year after year. So how do you do a maternity leave and break a record?
Well, there have to be the systems in place to start with. So it's
Right.
having everything done a certain way, making sure it happens that way all the time, all the checks and balances, so that we know that we're taking great care of patients, every time they walk in the door. And then in teaching associate doctors, so I was too busy anyway to reach out to more people, and it was definitely a win-win situation to bring on an associate doctor and teach them how to do what I've been doing, and the payoff so they get great experience, and the payoff for me is then I was able to step away and have maternity leave, be able to have 12 weeks off with my babies, and not have a practice crash. In fact, every year, except one, and it was really, really close, was better than the last year. In 16 years.
That's people would say that that's impossible. You can't do that. So I'll play the devil's advocate, and I'll say that's impossible. You can't do that. But if you can, what is your secret?
The secret is, again, having the right people in place and systems in place, and having the associate doctor who's learned what I know how to do and who's trusted by my patients to be able to step into my place and take great care of them too. So it's transferring, making sure that they're competent, and then transferring my trust, and so my patients trust what I trust too, and so my patients trust my associates to take good care of them as well.
I was speaking at a chiropractic college, and some young students were from your area, and they asked me places to go and chiropractors to visit. I said, you have to visit Dr. Kyrie Kleinfelter. And I spoke to this young man. His name is Alexander Grothman. He's practicing, I think, in the United States, maybe France. And he showed up at your office early one morning, and you guys were training. And he said, it was just like you said. So let's talk about training for a little bit. What is your training schedule? And if you get this freedom and you get record-breaking practice numbers year after year, and you don't get it from a magic wand, and you don't get it from wiffle dust, you get it from training. What type of training do you do, and how much time does it take you?
And so we still do it every week, and we've been doing it for years. But on Monday at our midday break, we have a team meeting, and we go over all of our stats and wins from the week before, and our action plan for the week, and what our monthly goals are, and all of that. And we do it really concisely because we do it every week. We do a little teaching piece each week too, and take turns teaching. Everybody, our office manager, our associate doctors take turns teaching a piece each week. And then we do a role play on one of the procedures in our office. So on the first week of the month, we role play what do we do on day one of seeing a patient. And on the second week, we role play day 2. And on the third week, it's day 3 and reported findings. And the fourth week is handling objections that are common.
Perfect.
So every month we do that. And then Tuesday mornings, we meet at 7 a.m. and we go over x-rays from the week before, because with NUCA, you need to be very precise with taking x-rays, measuring x-rays, determining how to adjust the person based on their misalignments. And so we do, basically it's a certification review every Tuesday morning. And I think that's one of our associate doctors' favorite things to do, too. And we have a little bit of training built into each day. And we also have one-on-one meetings with each. I meet with each of my staff members each week to go over certain things that they're working on in their position, or what their, again, their wins are or their challenges are, and make sure that I always have, my fingers on the pulse of the office, that we work as a team, and I always know what's going on. I get check-ins day in, at the beginning of the day and end of the day, whether I'm in the office or not. So I'll get a check-in by text or email if I'm out of the office. So.
Now, you have a busy practice, and you've seen dozens and dozens of patients in one day, and have large patient volume. So how many days do you work currently right now, and how many hour days? And then also, how many hours a week do you think you invest in training?
Okay, I see patients 3 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and for about 20 hours that I'm actually seeing patients. So I at least match that time in my administration time with our training and meetings and behind the scenes work on the business.
Right.
And I would say even more than that.
Right.
The actual time, if we timed it in what we're training with our team members, 3 to 4 hours a week is on specifically training.
Okay. So 20 hours of patient time, another 20 hours of admin, and maybe 3 or 4 hours in training. Let me ask you this. After having done this now, you feel that that's a fair trade for being able to have record year after year, and then also to be able to have 12 weeks off?
Absolutely. And on my weeks off, or I could take a day off and I'll still get a check in or check out, so that I know what's going on. But it is, definitely such a fair trade. In fact, we couldn't do what we do if we were not doing that.
And some people tell me every now and again, I don't have time to trade. But you have time to be all stressed out about the practice and feel like you can never get away. And so I'm absolutely convinced, and have been for years, that you do it the right way. So now, 12 weeks off. What do you do with 12 weeks off?
Well, we homeschool our kids, and I'll say we road school our kids. So we travel the United States. We went to Europe for 26 days last September. And just the time that we spend together, what we learn together, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
We also moved to 10 acres and we grow our own food and started raising chickens and, just do cool stuff with the time off.
You've heard me say this before. I've probably said this to you a couple dozen times. I think that specifically anybody who wanted to be a parent, wanted to be a spouse, and wanted to be a chiropractor, I can't think of a better example. And I think that it's fair for me to speak specifically to a young woman who might want to be a wife and a mother. And a chiropractor. I literally can't imagine a better example. All the free time, all the kids, and an absolutely great practice. Now, you hinted to part of your success, which is, well, you specifically said the training, but you also said associates. So tell me a little bit more about your associate development program and maybe what's happening currently in your practice as far as associates are concerned.
Great. Well, you've trained me how to train associates. So again, not having to start from scratch or figure it out or have bad relationships, has saved me the stress and the money and problems over time. So that's been great. And we keep getting better and better and better at it. So, now I even speak to students a lot and mentor students and start to build those relationships. So there's, competition to even come in to have those associate positions in our office. And they're coming at a good level of knowledge already in, upper cervical, usually in NUCA or one of the orthogonal techniques even. Yes. Not that that's necessary because we teach all of that too. And then we teach them just everything, how to take care of patients. We teach the technique. We teach how to really take care of people. We also teach them how to do that outreach and meet people so that when and most of them, the intention is that they come and work with me for 2 years, and then they go and start their own practice.
Right.
And they'll have all the tools that they'll need because they'll have done all of this within my practice. They'll have the confidence, and the know-how to do that on their own. So right now I have a doctor who's a little more than a year into that, and he's just doing great. He just had a great month last month, and we had a huge record-breaking month together in our practice. And we went out to lunch yesterday, And he just said, I'm still pumped from last month. And that just made me so proud because we all worked so hard, and he was just so excited with his success. And then we've recently brought on an associate 6 weeks ago, and he's trained. I mean, he's even taken the difficult x-rays with NUCA, and he, has set up events and had success at events, and, just fitting right into our team, seeing how hard we all work and and how well we all work, and just sliding right in there with us because of our protocols and our training and our team atmosphere too.
You said something to me on a call that we had maybe late last month, early this month, that you had a staff person who was out, and it was just the 3 doctors there, you and 2 associates. And you guys broke a one-day production record, just the doctors pitching in. Now, I'm going to combine this question, that situation was with your associates being motivated and excited. Everybody's working hard. They don't mind working hard, and you guys are breaking record. What do you think the secret is to motivating associates to produce so well and to be so excited about the job?
Them knowing what they get out of the situation and me knowing what they want to achieve.
Yes.
So we're working together on their goals and what's important to them, and that's why they're especially motivated, because it's hard work, but it's also fun, and it's worth it when you know why you're doing it.
Right. And if it's just busting your tail for somebody else and their goals, that's probably not that motivating. But when you know that you're investing in your own future, that's really the definition of win-win right there. I think you do it so well. If I had a kid, I would want who was in chiropractic. I have 2 boys, and they've chosen not to do chiropractic. But if I had a son or daughter that was going into chiropractic, I would beg you for an associateship for my kids. So so let's take a look at the future. I think this year, unless I've misguessed, is another record year in the making.
By a lot, by at least 25%. I think it'll be 30% by the end of the year. So
that's tremendous. And so, what would you like to accomplish? And how are the 5-star tools helping you build a foundation for what your next step is? What would you like to do next?
Well, at our Galaxy meeting last November, I think, what I said was that I wanted to double my practice in 3 years.
Right.
And so the growth that I have this year, we're going to repeat next year. And, besides all of the systems, which are gold, really. Right. And you teaching me how to teach my staff and how to keep track of everything, all of the basic stuff. Besides that, there's also the support system. I mean, certainly you coaching me, there's that support. And then within 5-star too, within the 5-star group and the typical seminars and within the Galaxy group, it's hearing what everyone else is doing too and being motivated. Hey, if they can do that, I can do that too. I didn't even think of that, but I want to do that. Or they have something cool that they're doing and they're doing really well, and being able to, get a hold of them and ask them, how are they doing that? And they just share, here's how I'm doing it. I'll email you this. I have this really cool, brochure to set up events, and here, I'll just send that to you. So it's teamwork. It's the, accountability within 5-star and within our coaching is the most valuable.
I love the group. I'm fortunate in that I don't have to work with anybody I don't like, and so I don't recruit people that I don't embrace their goals. And then our Galaxy group, we've talked about Galaxy a little bit. That's where the client produces the content. You mentioned it, where you guys share your cool stuff, where we do these wonderful debriefings when somebody has a record year. where somebody has an absolute best, we get a chance to ask questions, and everybody shares so freely and so honestly and so generously. So now, people are listening to this. Hopefully, they are. I know they are. And what would you say to somebody who would, they want to have 12 weeks off. They want to have a waiting list practice. They want many of things that Dr. Kyrie Kleinfelter has. What would you say that they should do with 5-star management?
Well, 5-star management gives you the know-how, right? So I wouldn't open a practice without you. I'm really glad I did.
Yeah.
It just makes sense to have a coach. Everybody who's achieving well has a coach.
Right.
There's going to be more there.
It's all right. Okay.
But you get out of it what you put into it too. So it's not just having a coach or having a management company. It's listening to the wisdom and doing. In fact, I've said it to students. I've said it to people over time that when we drove out to Pittsburgh to your seminar the first time, and just graduating and just trying to start up and having no money. And sometimes people look at it as I don't have the money to have a coach. And it's backwards thinking. I saved the money just in negotiating my lease for the first few months, and then I made money the first month I was in practice. And, and you didn't do that for me, but you gave me the know-how, and then I did the work. And in fact, the way I say it is, I was paying you money that I didn't have. Right. And so I was going to do what you said to do.
Well, that's one of the things. In fact, I mentioned this. I said, to somebody, I said, if Kyrie Kleinfelter and I discuss it, she will do it. And I think that that's a key piece to your success. And quite honestly, one of the reasons why it's so much fun to work with you is because you take the systems, you implement them, you train to them. You take a WinWin associate development system, and you turn that into record year after year after year. 5 maternity leaves and 12 weeks off a year to enjoy your beautiful place up on the lake in Wisconsin, and then also your 10 acres now, which you are recently on. How long have you been there? For a year, about?
A year and a few months.
Yeah. A year and a few months. Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for a couple different things. For taking the things that I have built and using them so well. And then also for being so generous with your time to share. I truly believe that anybody who has an opportunity to associate with you is in for a treat. They will learn, they will work, but they'll be just as excited as the 2 young men who are with you right now. So, Dr. Kleinfelter, thank you for your time, number one, and thanks for all that you give to chiropractic and to your patients.
Thank you, Noel. Thanks for all that you have given to me, and it's your love of chiropractic and you helping me achieve my goals that has helped me be successful. So I can't thank you enough.
You're very kind. Thank you.